Why, God, did you select me to be born in the most prosperous nation at the most prosperous time in the history of the world?
I am a child. I can't take care of myself. I need to be taught right from wrong. I am a child. Where are my chances? Who will be there for me? I am a child. Why was I abandoned? Who will be there for me? I am a child. I didn't ask to be born. I didn't decide to be an orphan.
There are abandoned and orphaned kids all over the world that are living in conditions that are far beyond belief. This video is going to show you how you can do something about it, how you can really make a difference.
What was your life like as a kid? What is life like for your children or your grandchildren? Do they have their own clothes? Do they have plenty to eat? Do they have their own toys? Do they have an apartment or a house they call their own? Do they have dreams of going to college and one day becoming a nurse, a doctor, a teacher, or engineer? Do they have the day-to-day love, hope, and security that allow them to dream about the future?
In other parts of the globe, the children are not so fortunate. Many not only do not have the food, clothes, and other essentials of life, but they did not have either a mom or dad to get them through the day. A mom or dad to love them, to hold them, to rub their hungry tummies and tuck them in at night. You see, when life is tough, that is when these children need a parent the most. I know things aren't always perfect in the USA, but somehow God selected you and me to live in the most prosperous nation, in the most prosperous time in history. Wow, what a privilege. But with all privileges come responsibility.
Hi, I'm Greg Garrett, father of four and a businessman in Virginia. But I'm coming to you today as the General Director of Orphan Helpers. Orphan Helpers is a non-denominational ministry dedicated to serving orphans around the world. Unlike many other organizations, we provide for their physical, educational, and spiritual needs. We're currently concentrating in Central America, where there are hundreds of thousands of orphaned or abandoned children, some on the streets and others in a variety of orphanages. Our efforts began in El Salvador, where we have renovated orphanages, conducted Bible camps, and provided teachers in the orphanages. The children are beautiful, but the needs are tremendous. Visiting even one of these orphanages is a life-changing experience.
After hearing about Orphan Helpers for over the past year, I finally had the opportunity to spend a week in an orphanage. It was an incredibly moving experience that I'll definitely never forget. I formed many close personal relationships with the children in the orphanage, and I can't wait to go back.
Clothing and shoes are scarce. There are times when there are only 5 or 6 workers for over 200 kids. Flies and ants are everywhere. Stifling hot temperatures without even ceiling fans to move the thick air. Entering the bathroom areas give you a sick feeling in your stomach. In some cases, there are no working commodes or showers or even running water. It's not fair in the 21st century for kids to have to live like this, just because their parents died or abandoned them. Some of the decaying facilities are over 100 years old. The kitchens are far from sanitary. With the walls crumbling, they have to turn off the fans to prepare the food so that the wall particles don't get into the meals. With conditions like these, how do you prevent the spread of disease? Everywhere you look, there's a roof leaking. In a dormitory, 2, 3, or 4 kids to a bed, sleeping on urine-soaked, worn-out mattresses. Children crammed into dormitory-like rooms, almost like sardines in a can. No privacy, no personal space, no belongings to call their own. In the United States, children will often complain that they have to share a room with a brother or sister. These kids are happy they no longer have to live on the streets.
We've met some of the most dedicated workers. Take Kulbania, who single-handedly takes care of 30 to 40 toddlers. An impossible task, but she strives daily to do all that is humanly possible to provide for these kids. Or Emilda, who works 75 to 80 hours a week, loving, caring, and trying to mother about 30 teenage girls. They desperately need additional workers. Currently, the older girls have to take care of the younger ones instead of having a normal childhood for themselves. In developing nations around the world, millions of mothers cannot provide for their newborn babies. They have nowhere to turn, so they are forced to do the unfathomable, abandon them, and hope someone else will come along that will provide for them. This little one was found on the street and brought to this orphanage, a scene that plays out every day all over the world. Here's another tiny life that God spared. She was found in a trash can. Her fragile little body only weighed 8 pounds, although she's 4 months old. As you see, her arms are about as big as the finger of this orphan helper. There are babies and toddlers everywhere that don't even realize how tough life is and how tough life is going to be growing up in an orphanage. These kids are the reason that Orphan Helpers has been established. With your help, we can make a difference in their lives. Looking at their faces, I can see the faces of my children and the children of friends.
To get a glimpse of how you can get involved, let's look at what the volunteers and contributors to Orphan Helpers are already doing.
It was difficult to leave my husband and my 3 kids while I went to a foreign country to work in an orphanage with the children, but we had a great time playing and sharing the gospel and just loving on them, and I do hope to return someday real soon.
Well, as a small business owner and having a family of my own, I never thought that I would ever have the opportunity to serve in the mission field. Being a part of Orphan Helpers has really changed my life.
We're going down to Central America, only 3 hours away from the USA by plane and just south of Mexico. We're taking supplies, building materials, clothes, toys, dolls, and Bibles. We're building dormitories, installing ceiling fans, and rebuilding commodes and showers. We're installing lights, painting, and making old, worn-out facilities start to look like home. In fact, we work closely with the government and military to make a difference in the lives of these kids. One of our primary focuses is to provide full-time teachers for the kids to work alongside the existing but limited staff.
I'm a single mother of 3. I was unable to provide for my children financially, and God said, sell your possessions. And I was able to have enough left over to provide for a teacher for the orphans.